What's going on, everyone? This is BMT. I had to just put that out there. Um, I wanted to do this one with y'all about pretty much talking to y'all about this obsession or this talking point I keep on hearing about, and it's very irritating and annoying. But I'm hearing it so much, and yet I'm always hearing about submission and abuse and all kind of stuff about people being hurt and harmed and all kind of shit and issues and daddy issues. I'm not gonna lie to you, people sound crazy as shit. Uh, but I never can understand what is this obsession, that people are having with wanting goddamn leaders and shit, or they need people to lead them or some stuff. I'm going to be willing to have a conversation with anybody about it, and maybe I'll give them 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, to come up each to tell me why it is that they need a leader. Like I'll put it out there. Why do they need a leader or walking about in them leading? Um, but I'm curious to find out why is this? What is this belief that people need leaders to be led or some shit? And what's going on? Like, if I don't know you, it amazes me. But we teach kids like don't go off with strangers or don't just you don't just listen to anybody. Listen to me. I'm your parent. You know what I'm saying? And then we start teaching people critical thinking. You're supposed to start learning critical thinking, but we greatly are starting to see that there's some kind of master slave. People need to be led. They can't think for themselves and actually just use their God given or use some kind of logic to actually think things out. It's even bad in a lot of sub communities where they need somebody to tell them what to do, like almost down to the point of wiping their ass. Um, and what's going on, Edward Bailey? Edward says, you cannot lead a people that's delusional, deaf, dumb, and blind, insane, and stupid. Oh, okay, I come up and explain. I don't think anybody. I mean, there are people who are trying to lead. There are people who are trying to lead. The question is, why are we bothering listening to anybody trying to lead? Why? I hear this from a lot of men. The men say that they need to lead the women. The women then go around and say, well, where are the men, um, to for an outcry. But then again, they'll listen to any type of goddamn fixture of social media that'll have them out there looking all kind of fucked up. And then they'll be like, well, shit, if a man was in the home, so are you saying you want leadership? Do you say that you want somebody to lead you and tell you what you need to do, how to wipe your ass? Like, I'm getting a perplexity of some people are better off as sheep. And if they are as better off as sheep, you lead it. But I got to be real. Like, honestly, that's why the situation is the way it is. But people want to be told what to do, and then they get upset about their outcome. Everybody's not qualified to be a leader. Everybody damn sure is not qualified to be a leader. I'm not trying to be no fucking leader of no damn community. I'm not trying to lead no goddamn lead the women and shit. Like, bro, I'm not trying to do none of that dumb shit. Like, that's that goofy talking point that's portrayed out here in the shower of feces and stupidity. Like, I don't have no group of men telling me, hey, like what to do. There is no man on social media I look up to as a leader. There is none. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck how much money you make, and I wouldn't ask you to look up to me. tell you, don't even look up to me. I'm not your parent. I'm not your fucking leader. I'm not your pastor. I'm not your sheik. I'm not your spiritual guide. If you as an adult by now haven't started to figure out how to get your shit together, you are beyond fucked up. What's going on, BK? Shout out to BK. Probably see my comment. BK said, I think part of it is a result of our education system that pushes group projects and not individual accomplishment. I agree. Because at some point in time, BK has to be, as a man, responsible for BK. Make sure his bills are paid. Make sure he's up and about getting his work done. Make sure that he's taking care of his responsibility. If he creates a child, if he starts a relationship with a woman, that's his responsibility as an individual to make sure. Then you'll hear somebody say, well, what about leading a woman? Listen, dude, if you're the head of your household and you're the protector, I get you. And your woman, yes, she is to some extent. She's also looking at for you to lead. But here's the problem. You as a man, you're going to also listen to your woman, right? Right? You're going to listen to your woman, right? This is why I say this is where the Neanderthal lesson kicks in, because if your woman is cook, you're going to trust the person that's cooking the food, because you're never going to listen to her. You're going to trust the person that you lay next to, if you do trust her. And I mean, y'all can say whatever the fuck y'all want to say here on social media. That's fine. I don't give a fuck, because the capping is real in this bitch. It really is real. Listen, man, you build alliances with people that fuck with you. You do. South Passe, what's going on, man? Most can't, though, they blame others. That's why I always hear this. We need leaders. Leaders are good for any society. I don't know. I don't know about that, Julie. That's the problem with us black people. We're too individualistic. That's why we stay losing. But so if that's the case, we stay having leaders. Pastors are your leaders in the black community. You got people who are civil rights leaders. How many leaders do you have? Like, can y'all name a white leader in the white community? Can you name an Asian leader? Can you name a Latino leader? But if you ask the black community, y'all got the black community, y'all got more leaders than anybody, bro. Y'all got more leaders, goddamn it. Like, you got a whole goddamn Avengers team roster. But what has it led you to? What has it honestly led you to? I know y'all like to think other groups are winning, but most you got to look at their background, how they're living their lifestyle right now. There's this notion, and I have an open panel where anybody can come up and tell me why you think we need leaders, and for what reason can this leader serve for you? Curious. Most black leaders I know are on the ground in their respective communities. Okay, cool. So most black leaders. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is why I don't too much get close to, like, for me as a black person, this is why I don't get too much close to black think tank no more. I don't. Ain't no man or woman done did anything to give me this shit. Why would I let another man the fuck out there speak for me that ain't done jack shit to get me to where I am today? Granted, everybody can't talk. So I understand that, if we come together and we have a congressional meeting, some kind of unionized as a union, and then we said that one person, hey, this is what we want. I can understand that. I only build alliances with fellows tier 3 and tier 4. I don't know what that means. Now, leaders are for the community, not GPT. Oh, okay. Well, I got a question. So you got to ask yourself, and this is the thing about it. Are people clan based, tribe based, or village based? Everybody thinks a clan, a tribe, and a village are all the same. See, now we're getting into the social hub. We're getting to the social hub. And I'm not gonna keep reading all your comments. I'm really not. I'm not. I want this is an open forum for anybody. But this obsession with leaders, this is why we are in the predicament that we're in right now. Because we're steady looking to be led. I'm not looking for nobody to lead me. I don't want nobody to lead me. And listen, nobody can ever fucking tell me nothing. I myself put myself here. I worked hard. I scrapped, did what I had to do. And when I hear people say, we as men need to come together, I'm going to be like, I'm going to pull out my paper of what I've done in my life. And I'm going to ask you what the hell you did. If I don't feel like we're on the same merit, I don't give a fuck that we're men. Ain't no need for us to talk. This unholy matrimony is why we're being led with a fucking goddamn plug in our ass. People always wanting somebody to tell them what the fuck to do. And that's the bad thing about it, is because you're hearing these damn talking points about leaders, and followers. And I gotta be honest, looking at us right now, right now you got 41%. You got 41% fucked up in Baltimore alone. Whole dudes on a channel talking about how it's the millennials' fault why we are the way we are, because we got docile. And I said, hold up, bro. You're saying that we are the way we are. This blaming of because somebody didn't lead the charge, it really is. This is why we're starting to separate to those who can and those who just need to just be left by the wayside. I'm not going to be paddling and busting my ass for people who ain't trying to do what the fuck they need to be doing. I get my ass up, I get my kids dressed, ready, and prepared. Deal with the day to day everything. If another parent is doing that, whether they be a man or a woman, married or single, I can fuck with them. So long as they're doing what they need to be doing to contribute to the cause. But if you're not, you're a fucking problem. You're a problem. And just say you need to be led. Say you need to be taught and re-edified. This notion that we need leaders. And I'm asking for what does if you need a leader, for what? What do you need your leader to what do you need a leader to do for you? Get a law passed, fight against what oppression, what crime? What do you need your leaders to speak for you about that you yourself can't speak about? You need protection. That's always a good thing. You know, a leader's supposed to provide protection. Huh? Black leaders aren't public officials. They don't speak for anyone and lead for anyone and lead by examples in their service. See, now the thing about it is, for what other black people don't have a good like you, what happened to them? Now the thing about it is this. I don't know what that means. You would have to ask yourself, what is stopping you going out there and getting it? Even down to the person on the street. I've done heard the hustler say, there's a lot of money out there. Go get it. There's folk rehab, Job Corps. Do whatever the fuck you need to do to get yourself about your way. See, everybody likes listening or hearing underdog. Underdog story is that of a story of a person that literally has fought, scratched, and climbed their way up. And with every win, that's a notch on their belt. Men, don't talk about you want to lead a woman, but you're not willing to go through your own storm in your life. If you're saying that you need a woman to help build you up as a man, you're already fucked up. You're already fucked up. And if a woman, you're saying that, hey, you need a man to lead you, you tell me you can't think for yourself. Well, you're a useless woman. You're useless as fuck. Why would any man want a woman that can't fucking think? I mean, I get why they probably would want a woman that can't think, because that's her whole purpose. It's just to be there as a figure or item, not to do anything else to actually edify or build up what is their family unit, their micro community. For a long time, I get why we talk so much about leaders. I get why. For a long time, we've always played the game of master and slave, master and slave, master and slave. So it is inherently, in some people, genetically put into them. I have to have something for me to actually do what I need to do. Not that I just wake up do my diligence and take care of what I'm supposed to take care of. Not that I need somebody to help me deal or take care of these kids. I get some people may have parental issues, mommy and daddy issues that they're still festering and dealing with and trying to iron out. So they need that woman to give them that comfort as a mother to possibly put them on the proper track. And some, thank you. So that boy in the back that just brought me this food, I can say that I lead him. That's my son. And he looks towards me for tutelage and teaching him in the way he should go. But when he gets old enough, if I raise him correctly, the knowledge that I write down when he reads will be up here. And soon enough, my son will be a man. When he becomes a man, he'll be on his own way. If I were to say something to my son in his house, would he have the right to say, Dad, if you don't like what I'm saying, you can get out? Well, I'm your father. No, if you don't like what I'm saying, you can get the fuck out. Just that simple. Whether I like it or not, he's right. I can get the fuck out. It's his place. He worked hard for that. He built himself to that level. So if he says he don't want to hear my damn mouth, that's what it is. BMT, many black people are like wandering sheep all over the place, making bad decisions. We desperately need moral or committed leadership, not like those Black Lives Matter groups. These. So, in other words, okay, so you're saying white validation, Edward, but then y'all saying y'all want blacks to accept y'all and lead you. So which one is it? And another person is saying that, hey, a lot of black people are making bad decisions. So are y'all saying that y'all need? Listen, I'm not sure. Like I'm asking, like and y'all, anybody's welcome to come up and talk to me. Anybody's willing to talk. But the thing about it is, I don't need no leader. I don't want no leader. I don't need nobody to tell me who can lead me or help guide me or give me an example. If you are an adult and you still need an example of how to do the right thing, you are beyond fucked up right now. There's the only place that they could probably get your ass probably together at that point is probably in a facility called where they have to tell you to bend over, cough, wake up, go to bed, do what you need to do. Oh, black men probably need are you saying black men need leadership? Okay. Or well, I believe a lot of people need. If you're saying, do I think people are getting stupid? Yes. Do I think humanity primitive era where as to it's called follow the leader? I made rock round, wheel good. Like, yeah, I do. Somewhat, I really believe I do. I feel. I mean, honestly, at the way it's going right now, I don't know honestly how to. I don't know how to get this lesson to y'all because I'm thinking just by reading some of the chat that black people do want leadership. Well, those of y'all need some. You might need somebody to lead y'all. Well, I think people want leadership. Now, other people. Now you're gonna have it where those of other people. I don't want no fucking leader. I don't. I don't want no leader. I don't want no alliance. I don't want to join up with no like that. Don't. Because then I feel like, once I start joining up, then all of a sudden, then I have to follow the protocol of what you say. And I know y'all don't like individuals, but no offense, but this country was made because guess what? We didn't want to fucking listen to anybody. So we broke our own rules. We said, fuck it. Like, the main code of conduct was free will. But all men, you put in your weight, you do what the fuck you're supposed to do, guess what? You're equal. If we go out there and work in the field and bust our ass, kill that goddamn bear, hunt, fish, do what the fuck we got to do. We're equal. We share equal share. What's going on, Trev?
What's up, man? Catch me up. I missed the first 15 minutes.
All right, so we're having this conversation, and I'm not, and this is not towards black people. I guess some people think that it's about black people, but it's not. It's about people.
Mm-hmm.
That what is this obsession with? We need leaders, or who will lead the people? Now, I'm pretty sure you've done heard this. I've done heard it many times that people believe in this day and age we need leaders for communities or for the people. What is your thoughts on that? Do you feel that we need leaders more than ever? Do we need somebody to lead the people?
No, actually, I think that in this we need more so for people to have some self-accountability nowadays. We've been relying far too long on on leaders, quote unquote, to lead us, and look at where they have led us. But that's just my personal opinion on it. I think that a whole lot more can be done if communities, like individual communities, actually work together as a community rather than having a leader per se.
But see, I worry about I understand, like, hey, man, we got to build this goddamn fence so that way the cattle can stay.
Right.
Yeah. All right, cool. You need the fence. I need the damn fence. Cool. But the minute we start having somebody come out there and start telling us the fuck what to do, I'm going to take that fucking hammer and bash him upside the skull. But I'm like, who the fuck are you? You're not telling me what the fuck to do. And I'm not doing none of that random shit. We got
right.
This character called Backbone?
That's one of my street names, brother. Growing up in the inner city streets of Southside Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay, so
Edward Bailey, yes. The thing about it, man, the foundation of leadership starts from within. And telling by what's going on in the community, these dysfunctional Negroes, male and female, don't want leaders, they want scapegoats. So when they say they want a leader, they want somebody to blame their problems on when they can't get their own stuff together.
So you believe that blacks are dysfunctional?
Oh yeah, from when I seen out on the streets and in social media.
You don't think white people are equally? You don't think white people are equally dysfunctional with what we've been seeing?
Yeah, white folks are dysfunctional too because, think about it. That's where dysfunctional black people learn the dysfunction from, is from white folks, our former slave masters.
Now, wait. So you're saying black people we learned how to be dysfunctional from white people? We didn't already know how to be bad and dysfunctional.
Well, you look at what happened a few decades ago when the black females chose white liberal feminism over following the dictate of their men. You know, that's what led to a lot of dysfunction in the following decades. You know, for example, Blackistan. They said before the world 5 decades ago, I don't need that nigger. I can raise that boy to a man by myself. And then until today, to 2021, we see the fruits of their labor. Blackistan. Like David Carroll said, the terrorists that terrorize Blackistan come from between their legs. Every time I hear these stupid females complain about the dusty black males, every time I hear these dusty females complain about these black males, I ask them these questions: who raised them? Who accepted white liberal feminism? Who's the one that said I don't need no man? I can raise the boy to men by myself.
Now, Backbone. Were you raised by a father or were you raised by a mother?
Well,
2-parent household.
I was raised by my uncle and my mom.
Oh, so you didn't?
Yeah. So
have your daddy in the home.
So
you would have to be included in that number too.
Well, here's the thing. My dad was around a little bit, but he wasn't around much.
No.
Okay.
You don't get to play that. It's either so you would actually be in that number too, because I asked you a simple question, Trevor. You heard it, right?
Okay, I got you.
No, yeah, and my question is am I in that category?
Let me say this. Let me say this. But when Mama had a problem with me, she sent me over to my uncle's place to get me straight.
Well, like for me, my parents were divorced, but my mom got remarried, and I was raised by my mom and a piece of shit, abusive stepfather. My dad was hardly ever around.
Right.
By the time my brother was in middle school, my mom and my stepdad were no longer together, so I was basically my brother's dad. I was the one she called every time he got in trouble.
So you're saying now the thing about I'm trying to figure out, do you saying that people adults need other adults to teach them how to be an adult?
I think that males, young boys, when they're growing up, I agree with him when he says that young boys do need a positive black male role model in their life to help teach them how to be a productive male in society. A woman cannot teach a man how to be a man.
Right, and so a man can't teach a young girl how to.
Correct. I mean, that's right. I mean, you can't teach somebody how to be something that you know nothing about being.
So now,
BMT, my situation is sort of like a Spartan situation, where every time I was in a situation in trouble, I would have to stay with my uncle for a while, maybe like 6 months to a year at a time. It was sort of like the Gogi thing in 300, where I had to be separated from Mama for a long time to get my manhood thing on straight. Yeah.
Now that's interesting. You're using the Spartans.
Yeah, because the first guy that got me into weight training was my uncle.
But you're using the Europeans, right? But you said that they taught you negativity. That you're using the Spartan example.
Well, the Spartan thing comes from the ancient Africans that were over there before the Greeks. They were known as the Etruscans. Nope. They're the ones that invented that tradition. The Etruscans from Northeast Africa, Egypt. Where do you think the Greeks got their culture from? The Africans, they were originally over there, the Etruscans.
Now, I went to where old Sparta was at. It wasn't nowhere close to Africa. I went to where old Sparta was at. I've seen their old tore up ruins. It ain't close to Africa. So.
I'm just saying in ancient times before the Greeks, you have black folks up there establishing civilization all over the world, even in ancient Europe. I mean, you look at the ancient and modern Britons, the Picts, the Snake Clan. And Scottish and Ireland.
So help me with all this stuff. Right? Because
okay.
All right. So I'm listening to all this stuff. If y'all have all these good examples of what it means to be a good human being, and why the hell do y'all still need goddamn leadership? Like, Hey, listen, I done seen a lot of these older people do stupid shit. You know what? I had enough confidence not to follow them. So why the fuck y'all keep talking about leadership and lead me by the waters and of Jericho and all that dumb shit? I be listening to y'all. It sounds like a bunch of babble.
I was going to say, don't let me in with this y'all shit.
I don't know. I don't know.
BMT, I say this, that the foundation of leadership comes from within one's real self.
You're younger.
Yeah.
KS.
Hey, what's good?
What's good, KS?
Hey, KS, what's up?
Do you need a leader? Do you need somebody to train you and the people how to be a good person? Just let me know right now. Like, do you need a leader or some shit? I don't know.
Personally, no, but I think it's the values that I grew up with. But I wanted to respond to the initial point. I think the reason, I think it's a Jesus complex almost. Like I remember with like Obama and stuff, everyone was like, well, what did Obama do for black? And I'm just like, well, what did you do for black people? Like, why is it always a one person has to be like the savior for? And I think it goes back to like religion and stuff. Like, you know, just hope for one person's gonna come and just make everything good.
You know, there's an old Taoist saying that it says that those that look outside for the treasure within themselves are like beggars on the street. You know, that reminded me of a movie I watched called The Last Dragon about Bruce Lee world. He was looking for the master. By the end of the movie, he realized that he was the master he was looking for all along.
Exactly.
Because the old man told him there was one place that you have not looked, and it's there, only there that you shall find the master. Because at the beginning of the movie, he told him, I'm no longer your master.
Yeah, that's where I think it stems from. I think it stems from, like, I'm not coming at religion, but I'm saying I think that's where the indoctrination with that idea that one person or like one entity is going to come and just fix everything. Instead of everyone looking in the mirror and saying, you know, even with Black history, how Black history is taught, you know, they're quick to not teach about Malcolm X and the Black Panthers because those were everyday people that got together and said, we're going to try and make some change. Whereas they teach about Martin, because again, it's like, oh, this one person, even though the reality is he had everyone behind him, you know, wanting a better life. But I think that's kind of what it is. We harp on like one person fixing everything instead of saying like we all play a part.
Okay. So
I mean that's what I call the community, where everybody plays their part to keep the community viable, healthy, and functional.
Now when y'all talk about this community shit, I'm not gonna lie, this community shit makes my ass itch because I'm not going to
BMT, any collective of people living together is going to be considered a community.
I don't see that. I don't want to join the collective. I bust my ass to get away from the fucking collective. I don't want to do it. I don't want to join the collective. You know, honestly, the collective don't fucking represent me. So why would I want to join up with something that don't represent me? Because
well, I understand that, and that's why there's people like you that, you know, they have their own ranches or homesteads out in the middle of nowhere.
Don't do that. That's not. I hate when y'all do that shit. You know, it's like sometimes and that's true. But it's just sometimes people be like, well, you got this, you got that. And I'm like, so can you. Like, bust your ass and you can get this shit too. Like, it's not like the stars were aligned with me and I hit the fucking lottery.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm not saying, I wasn't saying it in that context. I was just saying there's people that they prefer to not be part of a collective. So therefore they will get them a piece of property that has a lot of acreage out in the middle of nowhere. That way they don't have to deal with the collective. But at the same time, you're still...
You know that's just what comes with being black in this country. Regardless of what you do as an individual, we are always the collective. That's just how it is. If one black person shoots someone, it's black on black crime. Huh?
Right.
Hey, BMT, that tripped me out that one day I was asked by a white psychiatrist why black women so crazy and dysfunctional and, you know, insane.
Why are white women so crazy and dysfunctional and insane?
Yeah, I was asked that by a white psychiatrist too. Why are women so messed up? You know what I'm saying? Black and white women. And I told him this, well, they don't want to stay and take their meds. That's why. The meds are common sense and logic.
But see, that's what I mean with the whole collective thing that he asked you about black women, because I know plenty of black women who are regular. They go to work and they, live their lives, but it's like you're always viewed as like the loudest. It could be like 100 people. If 3 of them are loud and they're obnoxious, that's how we're viewed, And that's my bad.
So okay, so if that's the case, okay, and I understand this, y'all. Do I have a problem with group economics of like supporting a mom and pop business? I don't have a problem with that. But I get tired of this. When one fucks up, all of a sudden we all fuck up.
Thank you. I live that daily, man.
I'm not falling on that fucking sword. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not doing this stuff. Well, we need to lead the women. No, lead your bitch. Lead your bitch. Y'all random dudes are not leading my fucking women. I'm not doing it. Get your woman together, and then that thing. If you don't got no woman, and then you go talk to a woman. And just like the same thing, the woman saying, "I want protection." Well, guess what? You better go find a man. Find a man, or go get a goddamn Smith and Wesson, or go get a goddamn 20. Start there. This whole random shit, goddamn, is all of us together. That's nonsense. Well, now when y'all talk about this is random magical belief that white people got their shit together.
That's a fucking lie.
It's a fucking lie.
Nah,
it's a big lie. Trust me, I know I'm white.
It took centuries of bloodshed for
you got a white man on the panel right now.
Centuries of bloodshed and invasion.
Well, I mean, there's always been poor. There's always been poor white people, but they get to be individuals.
I get to be an individual.
Right.
Yeah. It's all a matter of perspective, man.
How you figure? Because I get every time there's some dumb white dude that goes out and does something stupid. Like every time a dumb white cop shoots a black person, I get lumped into that category, and I've never been a cop.
Right, and I get tired of getting lumped in that I'm a thug with all the other thugs. Matt, you said that
usually it's mostly white cops that shoot white people more than to shoot black folks, though. According to CDC statistics,
So now Matt,
yes,
I want to ask you, KS, Charlie. Well, why do y'all feel that? What do you feel like you need a leader to? Do you feel like the people need a leader?
No, not really.
I would say, I wouldn't say a leader per se, but I would say more positive, like representation.
Now, my question is what are you, when you say, do you need a leader, are you talking about somebody that just goes out and speaks for that demographic of people as their voice, or are you talking about leadership within a political spectrum?
See, now if you're talking about like, hey, we all can't talk on the fucking mic, but if it's something where we have one spokesperson, like, hey, like we have a meeting and then this is our decision, and then we're gonna announce the decision. Yeah, one person can touch the fucking mic and just say what the fuck we gotta say,
Right. Well, I get that, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of these people that are considered. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. I thought it was me. Okay, so there's a lot of these people that are considered like, okay, so when people like to bring up China, right? Look at Chinese and they work together on it. Listen, China, the reason why they're where they are today is called dictatorship. Okay? It's called dictatorship. In other words, they were told how much they can do. They're told who's poor and who's rich. They believe that some of them are born from the sun god or some stupid shit and all the other kind of things that they're saying. According to some of y'all black people, y'all believe that y'all are like the first naturalization of superiority in the world. But then I always bring up that how the fuck did the white man conquer you? And then y'all go lose your fucking mind. You can't ever answer me that question of the Dark Ages. of how did they conquer you? How did the
Guns.
It was because of other black folks traders.
caveman
That's how it
conquer
happened.
the smartest being on the earth? Oh well, yeah, y'all gonna answer that one for me one day, and I'll sit there for that story time, and then I'll love to
Hey,
hear that. How did they-
Oh, I mean,
BMT. When they came to Africa, it was other black folks that told them where to kidnap other black folks from Africa. So that's how they happened.
It's complex. I mean, you're talking about 10,000 ethnic groups that aren't unified. So yeah.
Okay, right there.
Think of the mythology of the Trojan horse for a moment. How did they get into the city and destroy Troy? You know,
I recommend it's a
You
YouTube
said that right there.
named Home Team History.
But I'm not here. I'm going off straightforward because listen, every group fucks over their own group at a moment's notice. That's just how it is.
that's part of the human condition.
That's just humanity. That's just how humanity.
Right.
is. So
Right. Any man will turn on anybody if it's a matter of survival.
you forget if y'all don't know understand history. Before there was the king, before there was the English crown, there were clans. Only thing about it was the clans just kept on killing each other off. And
Right.
they all
Clans
say,
and
you know what,
tribes.
shit. I tell you what, they had a unified enemy, and then after that, they said, okay, let's unify the clans and fight this motherfucker, and then that was it. And all of a sudden, they had the crown. Africa, there's no. I never understood why black people say we need to unify over here. You all came from different tribes. You probably came from the Boom Boom tribe, the Uwe tribe, and shit. I came from a West African war tribe.
What tribe did I come from?
Listen, motherfucker, you came from the tribe of Salt, so
What a
your
fucking
tribe of Vikings. So, what? No problem, Viking.
Hey,
But the thing about it-
BMT, there's over 500 tribal cultures in Africa alone.
BMT, there is something to be said for the fact that in this country, white kids do grow up with seeing more of them in leadership or positions of power. I mean, who owns the banks? Who
That's
who is the majority
that
of
can
the
simply
government?
KS. That can simply be. You can argue that just by the simple fact that there's more white people in the country. If you have more of a specific demographic in the country, then obviously that demographic is going to have more leadership positions.
But that's not true, because if you look at a lot of African countries, a lot of their political leaders are Asian and Middle Eastern.
Now I can tell you how they get that.
I mean, South Africa, for example, is a prime example of a white minority having all the power.
Now I'm gonna explain that one, and I can explain that one easy for you. So the British Parliament, believe it or not, still has a news on South Africa, right? They still have a news. It's a lot of the resources are at. Not only that, also their money and a lot of their ties are towards that of the crown. They say they're not, but the EU done. They're heavily ingrained with the EU. Now, what
Through
happens?
the Bears and the Windsor Incorporated, right? Through the Bears and Windsor.
I don't. Okay, so whenever you're ingrained with certain people and certain men, you gotta understand. I don't know why everybody fucking calling me that. Like, you gotta understand. Either you're gonna build your own system. That would mean you would have to be independent, right? Or you want to be led by other people. Okay, you want to be led by other people. So when they had a shot to be independent, right? They did not really know how to do certain shit. Now the white man said, "I'm gonna leave you to go do whatever you want to do." Guess who asked them to come back? Same people that
The black folks.
All right, so you can't get mad.
Well,
You wanted them to come back. So I always
So
hear
like a collective form of Stockholm syndrome.
well, how's it Stockholm syndrome? How's it Stockholm syndrome?
Because they wanted their captors to come back.
I mean, if people came to your, if you were,
They wanted their oppressors to come back.
If you were in a country or land and y'all never seen guns before, and people come that don't look like you and start shooting people, they're Thanos snapping people with a tool that you've never seen before. That's traumatizing. And then they force you to speak their language. They kill as many men as possible, rape as many women as possible, so the kids don't even look like their people. That causes confusion, and then they leave. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of
Yeah, for example, the Latino community, because Spanish, that's the language of the Spaniard slave masters in South America.
Right.
Now all this now you brought up
Like the French colonization of Haiti, another
So-
slave wing is French.
so I got a question. So Matt Bone, when you brought up how you came from the streets, were you proud of that? When you brought up how you came from the streets?
Well, let's just say that I learned from several Macs in my family. You know, my dad and
I
my
didn't
uncle and cousin.
I didn't ask you all that. I asked you, were you proud when you told us how you came from the streets?
Well, here's how I came up, man. You know, my dad wasn't around much. You know, my mom had a certain situation, so that's when my uncle stepped in.
So you were.
So that's why my uncle
You're
didn't
proud of
bother to raise me because
You're
because
proud of-
when I was over there at my uncle's place, I couldn't get away with shit. You know what I'm saying? Because there are times I would work with him at his warehouse. You know, landscaping business, and then after that, I go with him to the gym. Goes gym in Little Rock, Arkansas. Hit the weights.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now, Matt,
Yeah.
you came to tell us about, hey, we need to get that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like T Black said, you know,
proud,
but are you proud that you grew up in the streets or not?
like,
I'm proud of the fact that I survived the lessons that the streets were teaching me through the intervention of my uncle Lester. I'll say that.
No, okay, so what? Okay, but you mentioned what I'm saying, and I'm not sure if you catch
Okay.
it. The title you said you came with the title. That's what they call me in the streets. So that would mean you were proud of that title, that of the same area that literally gives that negative connotation that KS was talking about towards your people. Why would you carry it? Why would you want to carry that name? Like that's like when somebody black or whoever they get into some kind of altercation. I'm from Chicago. I'm from this area. I'm from that. Like hold it like we give a fuck. Like where you come from. Like what the fuck that has to do?
Okay.
With what we're talking about. Like honestly, if that's your only way to actually showcase or rep who you are by telling us you come from the worst area, then literally that means you really want that relevant of that leadership versus you saying, well, you know, I've never heard Trailer say I'm from the trailer park. I don't know how that was going to, but I mean, again, they got some pretty crazy, you know.
The trailer park do get wild, bro.
The thing about Matt Bone is a Mac who has balls and backbone. So that name right there shows that I didn't have to do no guy knocks when I was growing up.
Why do you think? Why do you think? What is this gynocracy that y'all keep speaking?
Well, gynocracy is about a group of
is
simp,
gynocracy?
thirsty niggas that worship women. That's what it's really based on.
Okay, so simp, thirsty niggas that whip on women.
That worship women, yeah. They put women on the pedestal, saying that, you know, even though you're a crack fiend mama, you're still a black queen mama, as the Tupac song dictates.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's the example.
Now that okay, so all right, in saying that, right now, okay,
But see, that must have happened in my uncle's household because,
in the heroin era.
Well, I was born in '69.
No.
But
so you definitely care. Were y'all stopping any of that shit from happening? Or y'all
it didn't happen in the household I was raised up in. My uncle didn't tolerate that shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I remember when I was in high school, right? These guys tried to get me to, you know, smoke some herbs and some sherm. He said, "Nah, man, we can't have that. We'll do that, man." Because
Uncle out their hand. Did you report them? Did you tell them?
No, I didn't say nothing. I said, "No, we can't do that because if Uncle Lester sees him do that, he not only whoop his ass, but he whoop all our asses."
But what he's getting at is you didn't do anything to help keep it out of the community.
No. I mean, I ain't gonna peep. I wasn't trying to be like no Captain Saberhole or some sort of like vigilante do-gooder type of stuff. It just didn't happen in the area of the neighborhood where my uncle was running things. You know, because there was other strong black men that ran a part of the neighborhood where that didn't happen.
Running it out of. So was he a leader?
That's kind of
He was leader of his own clique of black families in the neighborhood.
That's kind of what
that
I
was
was
a
getting
part.
at BMT. We don't.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think we need like one. I don't think we need like one leader. I think
He was part of a collective of men that didn't let that happen.
Yeah, more people. Like for example, for me, I went to my local. Can y'all hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I went to my local YMCA. All the men that were, all the majority of people that worked there were black men. So they were in a position doing something positive. So being like positive in your community is something that I look at as something that's like how can you be a man and not, help your community out. Whereas there's other kids, I guess, who grew up in areas where their male role models were people who were getting into, if they weren't ball players, they were people who were getting into like shit with the law. So they just internalized that. And yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think we need one leader. I think we just need
Trailer. Have you ever heard of Gynocracy?
I've heard the term, yeah, in some of these places that I've been.
You didn't start hearing it until you come around the black spaces.
No, I didn't.
I never heard in all my travels, I've never heard of Gynocracy until I came on this.
No, it actually wasn't until I decided to, get on here and work with you on some of these things and started frequenting some of these other platforms that are predominantly black run and for black entertainment or whatever that's when I heard Gynocracy. There's a lot of terms that I haven't heard until I came to this sector, what they call the black sector.
I never started hearing about Gynocracy and all this other random shit until I started coming over. To me, it's all lame shit. But I listened to the the vocabulary. Now,
KS is actually mostly entertainment anyway.
Now, y'all brought up about.
No, I don't have them change on.
Somebody said. So okay, he's talking right now. So Gynocracy refers to system favoring women and putting black men in the bottom class. Now, so the thing
T
about
Black
it is,
says that term sounds like some weak manosphere nonsense.
So are the women putting the men in the bottom class, or do you feel that you yourselves are putting this? Like, I'm trying to figure out how are y'all feeling? Who feels like they're in the bottom class? Like they're in the bottom class.
Well, look, I'll put it like this, BMT. I used to be one of them people that used to hold the system accountable for some of the struggles and the differences that I went through as a father that's not at the home with some of his kids, until I grew up and became a man and realized that it was my own actions that put me in the position for the government or the ruling class or the system to be able to put me in that position. Because I first got to take accountability for myself and what I did that put me in that spot to begin with.
Okay. Now, question. Now, in asking about this, who will lead the people? Well, do the men, since they're always been led by the women, do y'all want the women to lead the people, or literally anybody qualified for the job?
I think anyone qualified for the job. I think that if you're helping people, it shouldn't really matter. And I think I think some people in this space are trying to find a voice that they didn't necessarily have or something, and they're projecting. But that's why I said I don't think there needs to be, because what is for one main leader, what is the movement? What specific movement would that be for? I think that we just need to have more, black people in banking, more black people in the medical field, more, black people in construct, like tangible things that can trickle back down. And then if you're a black kid, you see, oh, there's a black man that's a construction worker, I can do that job, versus being hyper represented in sports and criminal activity. But I think people also need to acknowledge that, like, you can still take accountability, but you can acknowledge that the system, even how they cover news, how they, when a black man is the perpetrator of a crime, they will dig up any bad picture that they can find of him. He was smoking weed when he was 17. And it's just not equal coverage.
So like a way of building a propaganda.
I've seen 21-year-old, not to make this conversation all about race or whatever, but I've seen, let's not even say white, even Asian, like, them commit crimes and get referred to as, oh, he was a kid. He was just a 21-year-old kid that made a bad decision. But if a 16-year-old black child, like, robs a corner store for chips, this man pillaged, and you know what I mean? So you can have accountability, but you can also acknowledge that the system whole. I mean, BMT, let's look at countries in South America where there's black people. They're also at the bottom of those countries as well.
Okay, so now, I don't really want to jump around to other countries and stuff because I don't pay them taxes over there, so I really don't give a shit what's going on in Africa. It's just me. To anybody that's listening, nothing personal. I'm just not in Africa, so I'm kind of more so concerned about what's going on in America right now and what I can affect, what I spit on, and what I actually get food from. So when it comes right here, I don't have no random people telling me, or will ever have some random people telling me what the fuck to do. Somebody's phone's ringing. No, it's not mine. So, I think the thing about it is, this thing. I guess the gynocracy was running the community back in Mac Bones days or some shit. I didn't. That's interesting.
In some parts of it, not all parts.
But that's interesting because women are still just now getting certain rights and privileges today. So I'm trying to figure out how are they doing that if there's still just now getting certain rights and privileges. Like that. That's where it's kind of backwards because then you have to ask the question. You gotta ask the question like, what are you as a man doing today to better yourself? Just the same way as I would ask a woman, what are you doing today to better yourself? If you're busy being the best person you can be, then you're pretty much focused on you, and you need to be worried about you and yourself and having your shit together. Successful people should only deal with successful people. That's my theory. If I'm being the best person I can be, y'all gonna have to miss me all that. Well, we need to go do this, do that. No. You go. If it's in your heart to go do that, then go take your fucking ass to go do that shit. And you go do it. If I have extra food and stuff and I want to go do it out of my heart, I'll possibly go do it, and I have done it. But other than that, I'm not gonna be joining on no fucking causes, and I don't see you doing it. Just the same way I hear people talking about, well, the men need to do this. Well, then go find that man that wants to do that and go join on with him. But the same way, if I hear as a man complaining about the women and calling other men coons and all this other shit, then I'm gonna be like, well, tell me, what are you building? And if you ain't doing it, then how can you judge them if you're not doing it? We're joined here by Brother Speak right now. Brother Speak, what's going on? We have a talk going on. It's a pretty mixed bag of feelings on this one, and it's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What is the obsession with the need? We need leaders, or who will lead the people?
Well, how everybody on the panel doing?
Mm-hmm. It's all good.
All right. Well, it comes from nobody wants to look in that mirror and we've been taught that we have to look outside for validation, outside for anything. I mean, you look in particularly the black community, we've been taught to either look for God, for the men, we're taught to look for women, we're taught to look for the white man. We're taught to look for anything outside for anything instead of looking inside. So this is what you have now. That's why we're always looking for that leader. We're looking for that Messiah to do stuff that we need to do on our own. And it's a shield. We use these leaders to dodge all the criticism. So if something goes left, like if it's a group, something goes left that we've done, we can just say, hey, this leader, hey, he the one. We didn't do it. That's him. He the one made us. He made us do it. So it's like they take the hits, so everybody else be protected. So so it's just a case of we're looking for outside sources for validation, and we're not looking internal. And then we can use those outside sources to blame for stuff personal happening in our lives. So
yeah, brother, speak. You notice how when someone does try to be a vocal leader, they try their best to discredit them.
Yep.
Like I remember with, and I don't know if he's a grifter now, but I remember with Dr. Umar, they tried their hardest to dig up stuff. Even if he's not the best person, some of the stuff that he was saying is valid.
Yeah, so it was a lot of stuff he says is on point, but the thing of it is that he was hurting people's fees. And one thing, it seemed like black people, no matter what side you're on, you the community base or you're more the individualist, when you start talking about their failings, you pretty much are shooting at kids, killing a cat, or something like that, and they just do whatever they can to strike you down.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
The thing about it is, I want to say this, and this thing I want to put. The reason why, and I get it now, and the reason why black people predominantly talk about how fucked up they are, because it's predominantly most of the time with the type of people you're hanging around. You're hanging around fucked up people.
Oh yeah.
Versus if you're hanging around successful people, you're not in that kind of group or think tank anymore, then you're not really bothered by that because you're living a fulfilled life.
But BMT, you're a prime example. I consider you a leader. You could easily, I consider you a leader, BMT. You could easily have your platform. Oh wait, is that my mic here?
But I want to say this, and I want to say this, and thank you for that, Chaos. But I'm just a man. I'm just a man. The only thing I do, I take care of my family, make sure they're squared away. I just live my life by my moral standard grounds as a man should live his life, right? And I hold myself accountable. If you hold yourself to accountability, then that's you taking, like Brother speaking, like a lot of y'all were saying, then that's you holding yourself to a standard. See, a line leader, that's why I took a picture of the line. And they have a line leader, and the line leader has to walk a certain pace. They have to do certain things to get to a certain destination. Now, I understand I have a certain goal that I have to get to. And yes, everybody doesn't start there. I've talked about me not having money. I've talked about me coming from a broken family, and X, Y, and Z. So I already had all the algorithms, okay? And this is not me picking at anybody, but I'm saying that if you know better, then just do better. If you understand what needs to be done, You don't have to wait till somebody starts doing it for you to pick up to do it. Just go do it. The thing about it is, and I agree how we brought up the Obama thing. Obama didn't do this, and Obama didn't do that. Well, then, motherfucker, you go do it. Well, Umar didn't build a school. Well, motherfucker, then I'll tell you what. Go start teaching people that you want to fuck with that, hey, this is what we need to do. If you know a kid is falling behind in school, you don't got to be a goddamn school teacher. Hey, man, I got you some workbooks, or I got you some stuff. Let me show you. Or do you need some help with some stuff like that? If they want to accept it, they'll accept it. If they don't want to accept it, push and move on. The thing is we have this accountability word that seems like a bad juju word. Now I understand certain things happen to us in history. Great. Slavery, boo-hoo. Goddamn civil rights, boo-hoo. A lot of shit done happen. The crack era, boo-hoo. I've had my fair share of stuff. I can go do a whole goddamn gospel, goddamn DVD collection. But I'm here and now. And I don't have no fucking excuses. So, granted, the excuses shit, the excuse button done ran out for me. I cannot say, well, Triller, you and your people, but Triller gonna be like, well, I wasn't fucking there. The fuck that got to do with me? Just the same way if a woman were to say, you black men abuse, if a black woman were to run to you black men and say, you black men go around and abusing women, right? You would say, and you would reply back, well, I don't do that. So why are you accusing me of something I do not participate in do?
What does that have to do with me?
So this is the this is the dog chasing the tail thing. But I don't see Brother Speak going around trying to bite women, and Cass, I don't see you going around doing crazy shit, and I don't think Mac is going around doing stupid shit, or I don't see Trailer. I don't know Trailer to oppress people, but it comes down to accountability. Now, if you say, "Hey, man, we need a spokesperson for something," say that, ladies. If y'all saying that, "Hey, we're the black men to lead the community," no. Where's my black man to lead my home? Say that. This community thing, shit. Listen, first of all, I'm gonna be for real. We're not no fucking community. We're a work hub. And I don't think y'all know what that means, or a village. So that means you have to have willing participants that are willing to work together. If you're not willing to work together, it's not going to work. The brothers you brought up at the YMCA, they were working there to do a job. They're working there to do a job. So anybody that came there, they were going to work together to do the job. But if you stand outside the YMCA and you say, I don't give a fuck about what you're doing, and that is what it is. That's the thing about it. Like, this, the trying to forcing of the leadership shit, it's not going to work. Now, I did the story about the 41% in Baltimore. I did that story about the ones that are below D level. I did the 706 of them that dropped out. And only 21% of them actually will go on. Now, if y'all want to talk about some leadership, take y'all ass to Baltimore and go teach them kids. Teach all them people. We already know, the whole education level for across the board in the U.S. is going to shit. We know some people don't want no part of this shit. So we're about to wrap it up. We got just about 20 minutes left. Trailer, go ahead and take it from there, BMT. Other BMT.
Well, I got to say, I agree a lot with what you and Brother Speak was saying, with the whole accountability thing. I think a lot of people are just, but I think even KS brought it up. I believe maybe everybody on here brought it up at one point, is, people want leaders more so they have somebody to put blame on so they don't have to take personal accountability for stuff, or their own shortcomings. The bottom line is we should be our own individual leaders, in my opinion. I mean, if you can't lead your own home, then you don't have no business trying to be a leader anywhere else or try to do anything as far as that goes. it was Bro Speak had mentioned something earlier when my computer kicked me off about, you know, a lot of the brothers that they it's it's almost like it's hard to have a conversation with them because everybody's in their fields. You know, I've noticed personally in the last year with, you know, trying to speak with a lot of brothers that it is hard to have a conversation with them because everything almost becomes an emotional response because they see everything that's said as almost a personal attack, even if it has nothing to do with them personally. You know, and I find that an issue.
Leader. That's kind of white privilege versus the black existence. People, there's 50 million.
And that's how certain agendas are pushed through those illusions of white privilege and black suffering.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's how certain agendas are pushed.
There's 50 million black people in this country, right? There's about, I think, 15,000 or so murders. Let's say half are by black people, so that's 7,000 people. All of us get viewed as violent, dangerous, simply because a super small group does violent and dangerous things. So that's going to be an emotional response.
Now I want to ask a question, Chaos. Do black people trust black people?
Everyone kills pretty much their own group. Everyone pretty much commits crime against their own group. So, I mean, yeah.
That isn't the question that he asked you, though. He asked you, do black people trust black people?
He said trust.
Yeah, trust.
Do black people trust black people?
Some do.
So, in other words, no. But if it's not an overall consensus.
So, we're collective.
But the thing about it is, we know, without a bona fide shadow of a doubt, that we have been trying to separate ourselves from the ignorant culture, of nigga culture. That a lot of people say, well, that's just what we do. That's not what we do. That's what certain people do. Exactly, man. Certain people do, just like the same thing, like the system where I gotta be honest that I'm gonna tell you right now, for a lot of these marches and a lot of this stuff, for these things that have going on in the country, I gotta be real. It hasn't been a lot of black people really trying to push these things. It's kind of been other groups been pushing it, but then the blacks are like, well, what about us? But then you got the other groups pushing it, but then you also want you to make sure that you get put in the forefront, but you don't want to go out there, you know. And I understand that, hey, there's a lot of issues, but I'm like, at this point in the game, this is the end game now, where it's like, I'd rather see KS just walk in the goddamn city hall himself and say, hey, you motherfuckers have been fucking with the power grid and hiking it up on us. And I can show you the graph of where y'all been doing this shit. Now, it don't have to be a white guy, a crazy white guy with a beard like Trailer to go in there and do that. There's actually been a lot of black people been going there. Actually, here's the thing, buddy. And I'm for CRT. But I've also been noticing, I've been seeing a lot of other black people who've been going up there and speaking against CRT. But they're not waiting for no leader to speak for them. They just go there and do it. Like now, this is now the time where anybody and everybody, you got a voice, you better fucking use your voice.
Well, see, that's why I say a lot of the things that I say, BMT, and why I predominantly try to keep myself in the black sector of YouTube. And I hate saying the black sector of YouTube, but that's what everybody calls it for some reason.
I hate calling this shit the black sector.
You know, but the reason why I'm over here, because I felt that it was important that I let people know exactly what you just said. You know, that they don't need a leader. They can get up just like I can get up and go and question and voice their opinion to these elected officials just as well. Yeah, you know, you have a voice, use it, man. Don't let people tell you that you can't use your voice and that your opinion can't be heard.
I believe a lot of y'all are highly intellectual people. But the thing about it is, the people the loudest kid in the classroom is the one that always gets noticed. And the person with their head in the books and that just said, "Oh, I want to keep it to myself," they go unnoticed. I got tired of being unnoticed, so I just started doing what I need to do and speaking as I need to speak. So I got to where I am today. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it wasn't for me so much tired of being not noticed, BMT. For me, it was tired of sitting at home, seeing that there was an issue and bitching about it and knowing it. I mean, literally knowing something was wrong. And all I ever did was bitch about it from my couch, not get up and actually try and do something to fix the problem.
So I'm gonna give y'all the last 20 minutes. How do y'all feel that the leadership? Do we need the leadership in our communities, in our hub? What do y'all think? I'm going silent. What do y'all think?
I think the type of leadership that you need depends on the issue and problem that you're dealing with.
Mhm.
You know, different leaderships are needed for different issues and different things. Like if you have a problem with young black boys becoming men, you know, like with me, I've been asked to be an assistant coach at a boxing academy in Duncanville, Texas, because I've had experience dealing with boxing over 20 years.
Hell yeah.
But like I also drop some gems of wisdom teaching boxing, where I teach them about the breathing, the chi, and about how the more stable and fluid your chi is, the more powerful your movement will be on that bag. And then, you know, they asked me how I'm able to hit the bag without even putting too much effort on this. And well, it all deals with your breathing, your oxygen, your chi. You be still as a mountain and you flow like a river, as some of the Taoist masters would say. You know, I've been studying Taoism for about 34 years now. So I incorporate that by teaching these young boys in boxing and all that. And that's how I be part of the solution, man. That's how I be part of the solution. You know.
Well, I guess I'll say, yeah, I 100% agree with the whole panel about accountability. I've never said, you know, don't have accountability, blame somebody else. I think being a man, accountability that's one of the biggest things is, okay, I did this, I got to acknowledge I fucked up, and here's the result. Or I did something good, this is the outcome, I want this outcome again, so I'm going to keep doing it. But I'm saying that there still needs to be leadership in terms of positions where kids that are positive, where kids can see, hey, I can do that. If you know, my nephew sees a black fireman, he can now say, well, maybe I can be a fireman. Maybe I don't have to do some of these other jobs, or not quote unquote jobs, that could get me into trouble. And so I don't think there needs to be one leader. I think there needs to be multiple leaders that are visible. You know, if you look at some of the communities that do super well, like in my city, there's like a whole Jewish, like they have like their own high school, middle school, elementary school neighborhood, and it's because they look up to people who represent them, and they also put their money together. That's another thing too. But yeah,
You know, how about instead of calling some of these positions that you were talking about leadership positions, KS, we just start referring to it as our civic duty? You know, because really it is our duty as men to step up if we're going to be a part of a community and actually be a part of that community, you know, and actually make sure that that community is progressing in a positive way. You know, whether you want to.
You're talking about being mentors, right? The mentorship.
Yeah.
Being mentors.
I believe mentorship is big, you know, especially in today's world where we have a society with a lot of sons and daughters that don't have dads, because daughters are just as much affected by it as sons are, just in a different way. But they're affected.
And that was my point. I was getting at when, like, I went to the YMCA. I don't know if they looked at themselves as leaders, but they had kids under them. You know, when kids constantly like watch, like my nephews watch everything I do, without me even noticing. And then later on, they're like, you know, they bring it up or whatever. Or they say like, oh, I want to be like you, you know, something like that. Like, I want to be like you when I grow up is super, you know, powerful.
Right. It is, because like me, I'm 42, and I remember a day and age when we still had the hardware store in each town, and there was always a couple old men sitting out there in a rocking chair or something, playing checkers or chess in front of the store that was willing. They would sit there and just engage young men, and talk to them and give them advice on their own. And it seems like that's something that society is lacking today, is men that are willing to actually sit and engage with the youth and give them advice. And the same applies with women. There seems to be a lacking of that as well. Women that are willing to engage with younger girls and give them proper advice and things like that,
Yeah. Growing up in certain places, like the representation that you get might be barbershop. And that might be it, where you see like grown men doing something that's positive. It might be the barbershop, or if there's a restaurant owner,
Since you bring up barbershop, I'm going to tell you, about 5 years ago, I had my very first going to a black barbershop experience. And that was like the wildest off the chain experience I ever experienced before in my life. It was, it was life changing. It really was, man. Cause it was totally different than going to the white barbershop that I went to when I was a kid. I mean, it was totally different.
I bet it was.
I don't know. To me, the barber, that's like the safest place I've been. I feel like sometimes.
Yeah,
but see the thing,
Black Men Social Club.
Well, that's the thing too, though.
Barbershop.
The thing too, though, is I noticed that there ain't a whole lot of black barbershops that are around much anymore. It seems like those are dying off.
Yeah, they are, because a lot of people are freelancing. Like the person who used to cut my hair. I mean, he worked at a barbershop, but then he did his own thing. He was still cutting my hair. And yeah, a lot of them now, they just learn how to do it. They get their clippers from Walmart, and then they just go around. They promote on like social media. And they go around cutting hair. But that's a good skill that could be taught to kids as well.
Yeah.
And I think that was what BMT was kind of getting at, is that when he said, the person who's in the book that's silent, there are a lot of people who have skills and knowledge and stuff, like cutting hair or whatever, and they just take their skills and leave and don't like teach others. Like BMT kind of reminds me of my uncle, my military uncle. He lives down in like the Virginia, like the Norfolk area, and anything that he can do by himself, he tries to do, whether it's his own plumbing, cutting his own yard, cutting hair, and he's bald now, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more or less people.
Go ahead, Trevor. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that was bro speak. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I think it's more or less people want to hoard their skills, and they don't want someone to come up on their dime somewhat. And it seems to me like, as far as that leadership type thing, it when people are trying to be leaders, they're doing it for selfish reasons. They're not really doing it for the betterment of the people. They're doing it for their own shine. And the people that truly do want to help people, they don't want that spotlight, because they know what happened with that. And I think, and I remember that O'Shea said this one time when he talked about how a lot of the guys were complaining about their representation and how the women are talking bad about them. And O'Shea said, well, to the guys who claim to be the educated lames, I hate using that term, but that's what they use. He told them that the only way you're going to change that image and to shut some of these females up is that you're going to have to get out there and do the things that you do and promote yourselves in order so they can see that, no, we're not the pants sagging, we're not the do-rag having tattooed up, and no, there's other brothers who are educated, they're businessmen, they're entrepreneurs, they're doing all kinds of stuff besides sports and just entertainment. They're businessmen, they're entrepreneurs, they're helping the community. But if you're not making an effort to show that, then what they have to look at.
Right. That's what I was saying. And I think that was what Trailer was getting at, is that you don't go out and just be like, I'm the leader, follow me. it's a byproduct of just what you do. Like I said,
Correct.
when I seen those grown men, working at the YMCA, then I eventually worked at the YMCA. If they weren't, I don't know if they were even intentionally realizing, like for them, they could have just working a job. They could have just been like, oh, okay, well, it's nearby my house. I need to check or whatever. I'm going to work here. But by them just simply existing and being positive, that was leadership.
Why? They were doing something that they wanted to do.
They were doing what's called leading by example.
Right.
That's the leadership. Go ahead.
That's it. And people think that that's lame or stuff like that. But that's very important because people are watching you every day. I know at work, people tell me, hey, you're a leader. You should go up for supervisor and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just coming in and do my job. That's what I do. And
hey, Brother Speed, that's the thing about the spotlight. That spotlight can also make you a bigger target in certain areas.
Yeah, that's true. And that falls on the people. If you want these people to be leaders, then that's the people's job to protect these leaders, so that we know that spotlight is coming. And if you want these people to be the leaders that you say you need them to be, instead of always criticizing them every 5 seconds, you should be protecting them from all these threats.
So maybe it's being people, and you don't need a leader,
right? Because naturally, the people who are going to be more, there's going to be, how do you say, the natural leaders, they're going to show themselves up anyway.
Well, look,
they're just going to be that.
It's like this, bro speak. When I think of needing a leader for myself personally, the only reason why I would need a leader is because there's something I don't know how to do or I'm incapable of doing. So therefore, I need somebody to lead me, to show me how to accomplish this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So why do people need someone to lead them and show them how to be productive members of society? I mean, once you reach a certain point in life, that should just become second nature. You should already have gathered, the experience, the qualifications, and the knowledge on your own to at least be a productive member of society.
Yeah, I mean,
not everyone grows up in areas though that reflects that.
That doesn't matter where you grow up, KS, because once you reach a certain point in your life, you always have the ability to make a decision for yourself on whether or not you're going to allow something to hold you back or whether or not you're going to fuel yourself to progress forward. That choice is yours and yours alone. You can have every single thing in the world out to get you and against you and trying to hold you back. But you are the one that ultimately makes the decision on whether or not you're going to continue to allow that to happen or whether or not you're going to put your foot down and say, no, I've had enough and I'm going to make better for myself.
Basically,
but it does matter because what's normal to you is not necessarily normal to someone else based on where they came up. Like I said, I shared this on Mo's before, but like my father grew up in Philly in the 80s and 90s, which was like horrible. Like everyone, like people were getting killed left and right. If you were a girl, walking down the street later than 7, like you probably were a target of gang rape, so it does matter where you grow up. If you grew up in a rural area and everyone was a farmer and everyone had land, your experience of what is normal, doing chores, being responsible, having to make sure things are fed, is going to be different than someone who grew up in the inner city like my father. Like everyone pretty much on his block went to jail. And when he got out, that all he knew how to do was
that, in my opinion, that should be even more of a incentive to want to push forward and fight against the narrative. If everybody if it was normal for people to go to jail, fuck that. I don't want to be like that. That would be more of an incentive. The way you're explaining it, you would almost want to think that the people that went through the shittier life would be working even harder to get up out of it than the people that grew up on the farm and that knew this structure and always had some kind of chore or something to do or some responsibility. They'd be the ones that would be falling back and saying, fuck this. I did this shit all my whole life as a child. Why would I want to do it now?
Well, I think that humans majority are creatures of habit, and we tend to maintain more than we tend to
We're not creatures of
regress
habit.
or
We're
progress.
we are creatures of complete and total. Really, whatever. We like flashy shit. We're not creatures of habit. We'll go after whatever catches our eye.
No, we're creatures.
You know,
of
that's the
habit.
thing about evolution, because no matter where you start at, evolution is always a dynamic, ever-changing thing. So no matter where you start from, whether it be the ghetto or the farm or whatever, when you encounter different people, different places, different experiences, that's what starts the spark of dynamic evolution.
Right, because you got to
You know,
think most
like
people
me.
are impulsive as hell, dude. Impulse
Yeah,
is like
that's
one
true.
of the things we fight over internally the most as human beings.
I mean, that's
Right.
true, but I mean, look at Amish. You know, in Pennsylvania, we got big Amish community. They do a thing where at 18 years old, they give their kids a bunch of money and let them.
Don't
go
get
out
me
and
started on the Amish mafia, man.
No, that from what I was told, that's not real. But
Trailer, you talking about that dude in Banshee named Proctor? Yeah, that dude in Banshee named Proctor. The gangster used to be Amish.
They give their kids a bunch of money. They send them out into our society, and almost 95% of their kids return.
Right.
Well, I've grown up around the Amish, man, and they're just a whole nother breed of people, really. And what it is they've done exactly what BMT was talking about. They have separated themselves from needing leaders. The Amish don't have per se leaders. There's
none of their community are leaders.
Exactly.
So
all
the Amish look like a self-sufficient community, right?
All the men are leaders because they all do what needs to be done. They run their household,
Right.
So the Amish is a
BMT looks
community
tired.
of leaders of men, right?
Right, but I mean, we did that as well. We had like 65 autonomous communities, and they were all destroyed. Tulsa's the big, sexy story, but there was like tons of different communities that we had that were destroyed.
I'm still going to hold.
There was Rosewood in Florida, and there was the People's Grocery in Memphis.
So, Cass, what do you propose? But we know about all these things that were destroyed. What do you propose? Do you propose that people go fund them, go build, go divest, stop segregate, don't fuck with white people? What do you propose that the black people should go do?
Okay, well, what I propose is number one, look at the products that you purchase. Try and purchase them as much as possible from other black companies and stuff like that. I make sure that half of the clothes I buy are at least from black-owned businesses, and soap and products and things I can buy. I would recommend. Like, I'm not disagreeing with the majority of what's said, because people should have accountability. I'll also recommend like more black men need to get into education. Education is dominated by women. I think also we need to ostracize is the best word I could use. Ostracize people who aren't positive in the community.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think we put too much emphasis on them and less emphasis on the people that's actually doing things in the community, or just living their lives and not being a bother to anybody. We don't.
A lot of it. BMT is culture. If you talk to a black person over 60, most of them would tell you that not being able to read and write, and not being able to balance a checkbook or sign your name, that was frowned upon. If you were a nutcase, that was not something that you could just brag about. Oh yeah, I went to jail and I fucked 20 bitches and I got them all like that was, you were low class if you did that.
Well, see, as a white dude, who's been talking a lot to a lot of the brothers and sisters in the black community, I've found one thing that is interesting, and it's the fact that it seems like the black culture will down anybody from their neighborhood or culture that tries to better themselves and move past the hood. And it's like what's more important for some reason is being a real N-word, you know, being from the street, or, you know, having that street. That seems to be more important than investing in first yourself and then investing in building a family and a home, and then eventually someday investing in a community. You know,
the dichotomy of the degenerates versus the healthy folks.
Right. You know, and that seems to be a pretty predominant thing, and it just, I'm baffled at it. I don't understand why.
And that's kind of the lines I was getting at too. You know, I remember my corner store on my block went from being owned by like 3 different types of Asians, and they don't even live in the community, but they were able to, you know, get it and run it, and people respect, like they rarely got robbed and people respected them. And I don't think that per se, like I could do the same thing. Like even I worked at a restaurant before. It was a black-owned restaurant, and we got disrespected like so often to the point where it's like you have to let it happen, otherwise you're not going to have any business. That stems from you somewhere. Go ahead.
Or was it your own people? Were white people disrespecting you?
Yeah, it was majority of my own people. Majority of my own people.
Yeah.
But why do you let that just brush off your back when it's your own people? But, you know, say like, and not to say I do it, I'm just asking a question. Say if I was to get up here on the panel and start disrespecting you come at me. But if it was one of your, if it's, why do you guys seem to brush it off if it's someone that looks like you? Because I'm gonna tell you what, somebody looks like me, talk shit to me, I'm gonna knock his teeth down his throat, or at least attempt to.
You know, Trailer Hill, I gotta admit to you, man, that when it comes to dysfunction, I'm more severely criticizing my own people than other races of people. I'm very adamant about criticizing, you know, Negro males and Negro females. Also, I like to get my David Carroll on, so to speak. I mean, there was one time when this black guy was a bit disrespecting me on the panel. I told him, I said, hey, man, I said, listen, Savage, you need to chill out with that stuff. Listen, Savage, chill out and take your meds. You know, I just had to put my foot down like that.
It really just depends on who you're talking to. Because, I mean, I know for me, I'm even handed. I criticize everybody. I'm very critical of black men and black women because, you know, I do want them to be better, but it's like, but a lot of them still, it's like they don't want to have that self accountability, and instead they want someone. They still have that savior complex. They need someone to save them. Where it's a white person, Jesus, a content creator. It's like they want someone to
like
save them. Right. And you see how that's going.
The Kevin Samuels Sugar Tube strike team. The Kevin Samuels Sugar Cube strike team.
See me though. I'm more critical of myself than anyone else. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna. You know, if my wife were here, she'd tell you that I keep myself down and criticize myself more than anybody. You know, and that's where I think most people should be. You'd rather be. Before you start being critical of other people, you really need to sit back and be critical of yourself. Right. You know, and I'm far from saying that I'm a perfect person, you know, because I'm not perfect by no means, but you know, I'm still trying to grow and understand how to be a certain level in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
the wise humble themselves before they humble others.
I mean, that's true, but I think that there's also there's a layer of we have to be prepared to tackle the world just in a different way. Like we're always looked at.
But
like,
you,
even-
but you really don't have to, though, man. If you a lot, and I really honestly think that a lot of that whole outlook of what you just said, we have to be prepared to tackle the world in a different way, is all a mindset that that you really doing to yourself by telling yourself that.
No, it's not. It's not. There's already even studies out there, like just how your name sounds on the job application. Well, if it's Daquan
But
instead of
that's
David,
that.
David's going to get called back more for the job. Like that's something that we have to prepare ourselves for. We have to prepare ourselves for, to be viewed at. Like I walked into a couple of days ago. I walked into a bar. It was kind of empty, and as soon as some people see me, they're like, like I was just walking in there to buy some beer, you know. So yes, sometimes we are lenient of receiving stuff from our own people because it's like a fight on two fronts. There's how the whole world views me, as violent, as whatever, as I'm going to do something. It's either like you're viewed as violent or entertaining.
Well, let me ask you this, KS. How do you view your community?
My community?
Yeah, I mean the community that we're talking about right now. How do you view the inner city Black community? Do you view it as predominantly a bunch of upstanding people living there and it's a safe community to be around, or do you see it as a violent community with a bunch of criminals running around?
Well, now honestly, where I grew up, most of it is being, I don't want to say taken over. I don't think that's a good word, but a lot of it is Hispanic now. Like most of the Black people are kind of getting pushed out the edge of where I grew up. But when I was growing up, I would say that there was a balance. That's what I would say, to your point. I would say that when I was walking home from school and stuff, I wouldn't say that I always.
Well, I understand there was a balance. I can get that. So would it be safe to say that because there was a balance that you would be able to tell just by the way somebody presented themselves which side of that balance they were coming from? Just their own outward appearance, how they projected themselves to other people outwardly.
Sure. To an extent,
right?
Because I don't want to call someone
Who's got their TV on?
Macron, I think.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with that being said, I want to let you know that that's the same way in the white community. There's nice white neighborhoods, there's shitty white neighborhoods. And a lot of times in some of these places, it's half and half, half decent, middle-class suburban people and half, very impoverished on welfare, trailer trash, poor people. All right. And you know what? You could tell which side of that line they came from just by how they presented themselves, what their outward appearance was. And that's what 90% of everybody's reaction was, even in the white community, is how rich people wear nicer clothes, poor people wear shitty clothes. Rich people tend to have money, poor people don't, and are doing more sketchy shit. I mean, that's just the way it is, and I know this because I grew up poor.
Yeah, but that's classism.
But it's the same. But what you're explaining in your neighborhood, it's classism in your own neighborhood by your own people as well.
Yeah, but it's classism and race. It's classism and racism.
How can you have?
Well, there's always been a community of black upper class anyway, the Jack and Jill class. That's always been like that through a few decades. Because I got some relatives there in the Jack and Jill class.
See, I've never heard that term. That's new.
It's the black upper class bourgeoisie.
Okay.
For example,
yeah, I mean, because
I'm just saying, KS. I mean, all I'm saying, and I'm not trying to discredit anything that you're saying. All I'm saying is, I think a lot of what we suffer from, as far as being able to get ahead in life, regardless of what race or what culture you come from, is all mental. It's all mental conditioning, and what we have been taught to constantly be thinking. We hold ourselves back from more than what we allow ourselves to progress towards.
And that precisely goes back to my point of the whole leadership thing, because we go to, first of all, most of us have grown up, whether people want to admit or not, with a white Jesus. That gets embedded into your brain of the image of what is perfection, whether people want to admit that or not. Most of us have gone to a white.
I can agree with that. That I will agree with.
with the white Jesus with white angels on. I remember going to church and there was no black. None of the angels were black. None of Jesus wasn't black. God had to look like Jesus, so I guess he was also, you know.
Hey,
white as well.
Kaz, did your grandma have those white Jesus ceramic plates back in the day?
My grandma
I
did.
never,
You know those white Jesus with the apostles all white on those
like the
ceramic
China.
plates. Yeah, the China.
Oh my God. So
Oh yeah.
then look, Trey, I'm just trying to explain it because most of what Trailer says I agree with. Then we go to school. Our kids go to school. We learn about Greek mythology. We learn about Viking mythology. We learn about the Romans and the Trojans and all that. We don't learn about West African history before slavery. We learn about Marco Polo, who died in like the 1100s, before we learned that there was the Ashanti Kingdom and the Yoruba Kingdom. And then you go to class and all the teachers typically are women. And then when you grow up, you know, there's sports, but let's say there's sports and then there's what's around you in your environment. So if you're not going down the sports route, even if you try to go down the sports route, everybody can't make it. Everyone's not going to get into college and then from college into the league. It's just not possible. So you kind of look at what's around you.
Well, you know, that same thing
right.
applies in the workforce, though, too. Not everybody's going to make it. Not everybody's going to be a CEO or a vice president or a supervisor or a boss. You know, it's just not possible.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about making in general. Like the life expectancy is different in certain areas, just off the rip. And then after that, it's okay. Well, that's why I said leadership. Like even seeing having a black male teacher can curb one person to become a black male teacher.
Well, I'm not saying that having people in those positions that look like you isn't going to help make people feel more positive about who they are.
Right.
All I was expressing is I think that there's a lot of credence to the fact that if you mentally hold yourself back, then you're not going to ever, you know, do anything or flourish in your life. If you constantly think and give excuse as to why you can't get ahead, then you're never going to get ahead.
So, Trevor, you're talking about the foundation of the mindset, right? Because the foundation of leadership starts with the mindset. Because the path is inward.
There's merit to what Trailer is saying, but that's just not the only.
Well, and I'm not sitting and saying that there ain't racist people and racist shit out there. People are people, you know. Now, I disagree as far as to the narrative of what people have changed the definition of racism to and prejudice to and all this stuff now as to how it used to be a whole different thing when I was a kid. But what I'm saying is even with that, we live in a day and age now. We literally live in a day and age now to where you can do literally whatever you want to do in this country. All it is about whether or not you want to put your mind to it. If you continue to hang around with a bunch of fuck motherfuckers that are always out getting arrested, that are always out selling dope, that are always out doing this, then guess what? Chances are you're going to either get caught up in some of the bullshit that they were doing and be held accountable for something that you were only just there for, or you're going to start doing it too. If you make that decision that you want to be away from that and you want to start doing something better for your life, like literally start taking control of your life and your mind, then that's what's going to start happening in your life.
And that's where we kind of have to diverge, because I agree with most of it. But I mean, there's situations that I've been in, not just me, but I know that's the case for a lot of people because I've talked to them working at, you know, the hospital, and I've worked in places where my output of how much work I've done was ahead of everyone else. When they go to recommend who is going to be the supervisor or the group lead position, it's not me.
Well, maybe that's because they didn't want someone else doing the job that they had a perfect worker for.
No. I'm talking about when an empty position has come up. Like,
I get it. I know that's what you're talking about. What I'm saying is, look, I've been a boss. My wife is a boss. And sometimes you have them workers that do their job so proficiently that they don't ever have to sit and be on them, watch them, babysit them, tell them how to do stuff, that they don't want to get rid of them in that position because it makes their life easier.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I had that happen at my job. I had supervisors that they were supposed to be going to another unit to work, and our own boss would purposely stop them from going over there. They had to apply for the job on the low to where nobody found out until after they got approved to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, I'm not sitting and saying that there aren't instances where what you were explaining, KS, is exactly the what's going on, what's happening. But what I'm sitting and saying is that the fact to me that you weren't even willing to entertain the idea of maybe I was doing the job so well they didn't want to have to replace me as possibly being the reason why too. And see, that's the thing is because so many people go to the negative reason so quick and never think of the positive reason as to why they're still where they're at.
I never said that though. You just assumed that. I didn't say that wasn't a possibility. I said that I've spoken to, when I worked at the hospital, I spoke to other Black people that worked there and they had similar experiences of outperforming their coworkers. And not even if it wasn't a promotion on the table, it was they weren't recognized, or they recognized the coworker that.
But you know why I assume that, right? Can I explain why I assume that to you?
I mean, you can.
Because the only thing that you brought up when you said it was the negative reason. That's why I assumed that you didn't think about the positive. Because me, if I would have thought about the positive, I would have brought that up too in my argument, and then we wouldn't even be having a discussion that we're having, right now, this specific topic, because I would already be thinking about the positive that could have possibly went along with the negative.
Look, I'm positive. I think a lot of people are very positive, and they believe in this system a lot more than it actually has shown to prove itself. And you know that I mean, you have conversations now for almost a year. I've never called anybody out their name, none of that.
No.
I can have a level.
Me and you butted heads a few times. We've had some pretty heated debates, but you've never been disrespectful. I'll give you that.
Never been and you haven't either, unless someone's disrespect like came out the mouth at you. But my point is that there's like 80% of what you're saying I would take. But it's like the other 25%, like there has to be an acknowledgement of how people are perceived. But
I did acknowledge that there are racist people and there are people out there. But what I'm saying is that isn't the whole, and that a lot of it is our own self-projection.
No, but it's enough to.
Dude, there's white people out there that are holding themselves down, mentally, just as well as Black people that haven't got anywhere in life. You realize there's more poor white people in this country than there are Black people.
Sure.
There's more white people in this country that feel like they can't get ahead and that they're constantly being held back than there are Black people. But we ain't sitting there saying that the Black man's doing it.
Right. And a lot of those people are people who come from towns that had like one industry, and then the industry got shut down or moved out or whatever.
Well, what's the reason for the people that left that town that only had one industry and went and tried to make it somewhere else in a bigger city and still failed?
That exists, but okay, for example, Trailer, in this country, do you realize 1 out of every 6 white families is a millionaire family?
I would have to see the statistics on that, man. I really would, because I had, me as a white person, you realize I was 42 years old before me and my wife could say that we were part of the middle class.
But again, you keep saying I'm talking about all the data.
Well, so all I have to go by is my personal experience of what I've seen. And I've seen a lot of white folks that are far from middle class. Most of the people that I've ran around with most of my life in the white community, look, like for me and my wife, she makes more money than all of her siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that applies for a lot of my friends and a lot of their siblings,
Well,
there's this myth that, all white people are sitting well to do, yes, I'm middle class, but you know how much money I have in the bank? And this applies for a lot of people that look like me. Okay, maybe a couple, $200-$300.
I don't think what I said was denying poverty or
no, that. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to show you that look, all I'm trying to show you with what I'm saying is that a lot of the things that you are using as a reason for why there is an indifference in the black community still applies in the white community as well. And
Right,
a
but
lot of the things.
You didn't let me finish my point, which was that in this country, 1 out of every 6 white families has $1 million, like not $1 million liquid, but is worth. So like home ownership, properties, cars, stocks is worth $1 million. In the same country, 1 out of 50 black families has $1 million of in wealth and personal savings. So if you're,
could you think that might have something to do with the population difference?
No.
No?
Could be a combination of both.
Right.
I will say.
I mean, yeah, something to do, yeah, but it's also the historical highways being run.
Well, and that's the problem I have. I'm a history buff. I love history. I love studying history. But the thing is the one thing that I always find troubling is people wanting to use historical things to sit and say, as for the reason as for.
KS, there is a historical fact that there is certain political interests that made money off the victim mentality of poor white people and poor black people throughout the decades.
Absolutely, and that's
a certain party, liberal party.
Yeah, I mean they still doing it now, and it's because
a lot of people are seeing homeless on the street as poor white people and poor black people.
Right, absolutely. But Mark, this is what I'm saying. If you take a black person in this country and a white person in this country that are the exact everything the same name, same skin, same body type deal. Let's say they have the same exact face. And one's black and one's white. They're not getting treated the same, and there's nothing.
Could you ever
out there that disproves that?
Is there? Do you think that there could be something, to say that the reason why that might be is because you might already go into this situation already with the mindset that you're not going to be treated different, so you're going to have a different attitude than the other person right off the rip?
No, because, and I'll share further with my experience. I grew up in the foster care system. I've lived with white people that were in rural parts of my state of Pennsylvania. And I've also lived with black people, Hispanic people, all of that. When in school or whatever, I consistently was at the top of my class. So I never had a victim like I'm inferior or superior based on anything. And it's still, like I said before, Harvard did that experiment, looked at over 50 cities. They submitted job applications. All changed was the name. That's all they changed. Not any of the GPAs, not the education. And 87% of the callbacks went to the applications with the white sounding name.
How many? Well, let me ask you this: in that study they did, how many of those businesses were white owned and black owned? And then let me ask you this: did they do a study where they did all white owned businesses and all black owned businesses and do the same thing and see if the results were the same or different?
The study was based on the top, I believe it was the top 25 companies in each of the metropolitan cities that they looked at. So I guess they technically tend to be white. But that goes against your point because you're saying, well, that's why historical matters.
No, what I'm saying,
that's why I asked. That some of these companies like JP Morgan and Chase Bank, who were managing slave owners' bank accounts and stuff, they still kept their wealth. And
well, let me hold on. That's a lot of the reason why I asked if they did the same study with, majority black-owned companies as well, because I've talked to a lot of black business owners, and a lot of the black business owners I know say that the majority of the time they won't hire black people either. That they'll hire a white person or a Mexican person before they hire a black person.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked it. Is the same, is the same statistics going to be the same as if you went into all black owned businesses and asked them, did the same study?
Well, I mean, I can tackle that. If you look at the businesses that are majority mom and pop shops and restaurants account for like 75 or 76% of black owned businesses. We're not owning major cigarette. And this is where the privilege thing comes in, because we don't own down to your chewing gum, your cigarettes, your beer, your banks.
You are.
The
You think just
the
because I look
t-shirt
like these
company,
people that I
Nike,
get something
Adidas,
special because they look like me and own it? Unless I have a direct link to these people that own the bubblegum company or the cigarette company or the bank or whatever, you know, it ain't benefiting me any. It ain't like I can go in there and get a loan any quicker than you can. I bet
Yes,
you can get actually, I guarantee you that if me and you went to 25 different banks and asked for a loan, you get a loan quicker than I would.
That's just not the case. Unless
I
you're talking
guarantee
about
it. I guarantee
unless you're talking
it.
about this wave of pity from the last 2 years, then but historically that's just not the case.
Dude, I've been trying to get just a simple first home buyer's loan for the last 12 years of my life and have been denied over and over and over and over and over again.
I mean, where you're
It's
looking
all
at
a matter of
the
zip
area
code,
that you're
gentlemen.
looking?
It's all a matter of zip code.
And it's all a matter of whether or not you had parents that were smart enough to educate you about what your credit was worth when you were a child and a young adult, and whether or not you screwed it up or not.
Right. And that goes back to, and if they didn't have parents and they have kids, then those kids don't have a parent that could teach them, and so on and so forth. And that's why historic. And when I say historical, I don't mean 500 years. I just literally mean, if you look at the last 40, 50, 60, 70, literally people's lifetimes, people who are still alive today being denied homes, having their neighborhoods flooded. Look
KS,
up,
just in my life. KS, hold on. Just in my lifetime alone, though, I have watched multiple, and I mean multiple, programs and things be enacted in this country and bills and legislation passed in this country that is specifically tailored to the Black community being able to progress in life. That isn't for white people.
Name three.
There's college. There's actually college grants and stuff that Black people can get that white people can't. There's the affirmative action legislation that was passed that gave Black people jobs over white people.
White women benefited more from affirmative action. What's the next one?
I don't care whether or not white women benefited more from it or not. The fact that we ain't talking about white women. Stop. We are talking about things that were put in action that were.
But that's a fallacy. It was not for. That was not a Black. First of all, as far as the college is concerned,
okay.
As far what I thought, are you being emotional now? So
no, I'm not being emotional.
As far as the colleges are concerned, most of that is income based. Than it is right. I don't know anyone that's gotten these scholarships specifically just for being Black. And if they did, that wasn't from the government. That was from a private entity, a private charity. As far as the affirmative action, that was not Black specific. That was minority specific. And the reason why white women.
Well, and who's considered the minority when you refer to the minority community? Are you including white women?
In terms of Trailer Hood and KS, when I hear that thing, white privilege and Black pride, those are usually some smoke screen tools used by the deep state to keep the lower masses divided.
Thank you. That's my point that I'm trying to get across.
I never used the words white privilege, so I don't know where that's coming from. But
I'm just saying, white privilege and Black plight, those are sort of like propaganda smoke screens used by the deep state, the elite, to keep the lower masses divided.
To keep us fighting about
so
shit,
they can
so
they can stay in power.
Okay,
because that's why I said in the comments that I would rather try to make alliances with tier 3 to tier 4 thinking people who can see beyond the smoke. And see what's really going on behind the veil. Because when you look behind the veil, there's no such thing as color or race.
But
it's more like a program, a spell, an agenda, an algorithm.
But Mark,
that
Black people been that literally with the Black Panthers. They tried to work with working class white people, telling them, "Look, you're at the same social economic level that we're at." And what did they do? The white power structure.
And you know why they destroyed the Black Panthers? They destroyed the Black Panthers because it was working.
That's right.
It was working.
And who
they destroyed the Black Panthers because it was working.
And the same
because there were certain famous white Hollywood people that supported the Black Panthers behind the scenes.
And who destroyed the Black Panthers?
Secretly.
Who destroyed the Black Panthers? It wasn't white communities. It was the government.
It was the government that did that. But I'm just saying there were certain white people in Hollywood. There were certain white people in Hollywood that secretly supported the Black Panthers.
Oh
And
yeah.
the same
Some of the white Hollywood
programs that
stars
the-
were personal friends of the Black Panthers back in the day.
and
you know.
those same programs that the Black Panthers did, the
The
government
free lunch
copied.
program. Yeah, the free lunch program.
Yes.
Right.
The white controlled, white majority government said we don't want a N-word Messiah, and he had Edward Hampton killed. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. So the point I'm trying to say is back
J.
to
Edgar Hoover. Oh, okay.
yeah. So the point I'm saying is back to Trailer's point, that again, that's a fallacy. That's something I'm talking about, is that it's looked at like, oh, we just got all these programs. In terms of the workforce, white women were considered a minority, which is why most of the money for that went to them to start businesses. So again, you just said, oh, all these programs, and yet you haven't named any.
Like you said, that it was intended for Black people.
It was intended
But they switched it up,
right.
and they found a loophole to give it to white folks.
But it wasn't for
white liberal feminism.
Specific.
Right.
It was for minority.
White liberal feminism.
You guys,
Asian. It was for Black, Latino, Asian. It was for minorities.
So you guys, other than that, I do have to. We did go over the time, but I wanted to let conversation. I wanted to let you guys go over the conversation. I do let men talk amongst men, or people talk amongst people. I'm going to be doing another conversation tomorrow about California and the pretty much the libertarianism. Pretty much is just we're in a new era of libertarianism, where literally people should be able to, be free will, and it's too much free will bad.
I like these topics you've been bringing back up. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
I like to get involved in that one because
I'm gonna do that one tomorrow. It's too much.
Man, I got relatives that live in California.
So I'm gonna do that one tomorrow. It's too much free will bad, and what does that mean for the rest of us? If other people have no cap level to their free will. So that's gonna be tomorrow. Thank you guys. Salute to everyone who came through. Salute to those who are respectful in the chat. I know it was pretty rough, but literally that's the whole thing of these kind of topics. It's for it to be rough to figure it out. I'll see you guys later. BMP, Trailer Hood, Macbone, KS, and Brother Speak. Y'all definitely rock the house. Definitely listening to y'all talk. For those in the chat, I let people talk. That's one thing I do. If I let one of my co-hosts up here, I know Trailer's not going to burn down the house or do crazy shit. So then it's pretty much they're going to just have conversation. It's okay.
I got you.
And Macbone, they're pretty. So y'all can be pretty easy to just talk to and try to keep it on the point. So other than that, that's why I always keep. Somebody asked me, well, what's the title? I put the title literally at the bottom, so that way you can't get confused with the title.
Right.
So put it at the bottom, so that way you'll have a guiding stone of where you're plotting out your chart. So
these people slow, BMT.
Hey, we still kept it on leadership.
Y'all did.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see you guys later. This is BT signing off. Like the video. If you have some topics you want to talk about, please put it in the comments below, or emails at blackbrother13@gmail.com, or hit up Trailer Hood, you know what I'm saying, or go to Brother Speaks Podcast Radio. We'll see you guys later. I am BMT. Peace.